And let me do a cheesy intro as I always do, which is turning to the camera and saying, hello everyone, welcome back to TCS Sport and a very happy new year to everyone joining us for the first time in 2025. You okay over there?
I was just looking Happy New Year at the time of recording and thinking about when it's actually going to go out.
Hey, you never know, it might go out this evening.
In February.
No, those are just the forfeits. The forfeits are, we're about 2 years behind.
We are 2 years behind with two of the forfeits.
It's like James asking the other day, when are you getting them done? Well, we'll do the tattoo hopefully in the next couple of months, and then the Skywalk will be in the summer. And
Do you think when James gets his Ronaldo haircut, that'll make him a bit quicker on the tracks?
It'll be every time he signs in, it'll be that one walking past all his colleagues, won't it? Yeah, I'm here, baby.
I ain't getting your Ronaldo haircut. I'm not losing anything.
How you doing anyway?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Did you have a nice Christmas?
It wasn't bad, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
It was a little bit disrupted, a little bit more unusual than it usually is. But yeah, it's nice.
Illnesses going around plenty, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's like the whole country. It feels like at the moment there's always something going around this time of year, and everyone just seems to be affected. So,
yep.
Yes, indeed. I should have started this podcast off with our old "Merry New Year."
Merry New Year.
You know that reference?
Is that a? That's not Trading Places.
It is Trading Places. Yeah, when he joins the cabin straight away and Beak sitting down and Eddie Murphy goes, Merry New Year. Talking of the New Year though, and Christmas isn't Christmas without the darts. Did you watch any of the darts?
I've only seen little clips here and there because I don't pay for Sky.
Yeah, well,
and neither should any of you. It's a Ponzi scheme. You don't get value for money. I don't think you get value for money anyway. And then when a big fight comes around, what do they want? An extra 25 quid out, yeah? Or was it 30 these days?
It's 25. But it
Still
used
25.
to be 20. Do you remember the days where it used to be 20 and then it gradually crept up?
It'd be 30 then 35. Yeah.
That's where it's going, yeah. But there's always demand for it.
It's like children in need, isn't it? It used to be text 5 for £5. They've cancelled that now. The lowest rate is text 10.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Greedy mothers. Greedy.
And
I know you need to help people out, but when they're stockpiling it, nuts the TCF Sport. TCP, the casual politics. Although not so casual. What's wrong with the country and the world?
A lot. Cut edge analysis there.
Done. That'll do. Winner. Do you enjoy the football? Yes. There we go. Podcast over.
Could you imagine?
But yes, did you catch much of the darts then?
I didn't watch anywhere near as much as I usually do, partially because here, there and everywhere.
Did you watch the final though?
No, I didn't watch the final. I was out in London. I've just kept up to date with everything that's going on. But to me, the best, I say man, he's still a teenager, but the best person won. So,
in the eyes of the law, he's a child.
He's only 17.
Yeah, he's a child.
Only until 18 that he becomes a man. But
yeah,
I mean, fair play to him because to sustain the form that he sustained over the last year.
I think, was it the quarters where he had a little bit of a wobble?
Ryan Joyce. But it wasn't so much a wobble, he was just put under more pressure. Yeah.
I mean, I just read that, and again, through the Sky reporting, they probably try and exacerbate how bad it was. Bad, but you know. But yeah, I'd have put money on him at the beginning of the tournament. Yeah, really. I didn't bother because the odds probably weren't that great. But
they weren't.
Sometimes you just know, don't you?
Yeah, well, it was between him and the other Luke. It was the two Lukes that were favourites for it, and Luke Humphries got knocked out by Peter Wright, and then after that, I mean, he still had to win this game.
Yeah, that was a bit of a grudge match, wasn't
it? They build it up to be, because they were both saying a few bits and pieces in the media
and then that
beforehand.
Gets exaggerated.
Yeah, but you saw the respect.
Did you see Van Gerwen though?
I mean, Van Gerwen's always chatting stuff.
Yeah, but you see him, he's like, everyone on the tour knows he talks a load of nonsense.
Yeah. It's in the classic Dutch way of bluntness, but I mean, he'd do right as well.
But fair play to Van Gerwen, that's 2 finals in 3 years. I know everyone was like, he was going to take over from Phil Taylor.
Well,
I think he needs to win another one in the next few years or so.
He's reached 7 finals now and won 3 of them.
Yeah.
So he probably would have obviously liked to have won 1 or 2 more.
At one point, he was looking like he was going to be unstoppable, wasn't he?
Absolutely dominate the game. And there has been a little bit. He's been unlucky in certain worlds where he's been the best player and has just come up against somebody that's played out of their skin. A game against Raymond van Barneveld in the 3rd round or 4th round one year, where they both averaged like 105, 110 springs to mind. But yeah, I imagine he'll win 1 or 2 more before he hangs his darts up, although Luke Little might have something to say about that. The question I wanted to ask you though, as has been going around on social media for a little while, I don't know if you saw before the World Championship started, Paddy Power... I'm doing the Ronaldo, yeah. Paddy Power did something on social media where they had Sean Murphy and Mark Williams trying to hit a 147, Luke Humphries and Michael van Gerwen trying to hit a 9-darter, and a golf professional, I don't know who, a couple actually, outside trying to hit a hole in one. And that was the question of what's harder to hit, a 9-darter, a 147, or a hole in one.
I don't know why they've got the hole in one there, because normally it's always between the 9-darter and the 147, and I've always maintained the 147 is the hardest.
Because 36 shots, it's always different because the balls are always in a different position.
And they've pretty much got to be perfect.
Yeah.
36 perfect shots, 9 times perfection, 1 bit of luck.
Yeah, well, you aim to hit a hole in one, don't you? And you have a little bit.
Yeah,
of
I
luck
mean that's hard in its own right, but yeah, for me it's the 147.
Yeah, likewise. So that's a quick question. Nice way to start.
And we agree again.
Well, there just isn't though, is there? No. People might say, well, you can fluke a 147. You can fluke a shot.
You can fluke a couple of shots.
A shot or 1 or 2. Yeah.
There was one in, I want to say it's the 70s. I could be wrong. Where the first shot he flukes the ball in and he goes, and I think. Is it Cliff Thornburn? I don't know. I have to ask Dad.
Yeah.
And he's like,
wasn't he the first one to hit 147?
Might be a televised 147, yeah.
Yeah.
I could be wrong with the snooker, but I can't remember.
No.
I mean, I wasn't around in the 70s.
No.
I really wasn't.
Anyway, shall we talk about the football as what we usually do on these podcasts?
Yeah.
Where would you like to start? Because I've written, as you know, talking points about the clubs, but I feel like maybe we should start with a couple of talking points of decisions from this weekend's fixtures.
Well, as I always say, it's your podcast, so you lead the way.
Well, let's start with just a couple of decisions in a couple of games. You're all caught up on all of the football?
I have seen Match of the Day for Saturday's games.
So can we start? There's only 2 games that I want to talk about specifically for decisions, which is Tottenham, Newcastle, and Brighton, Arsenal. We'll start with Tottenham, Newcastle. The main one I want to... Actually, no, we'll talk about 2, because the second will lead into Brighton, Arsenal. The first I want to talk about is the Joe Linton handball. Did you think it was handball?
No, it's ball to hand.
So you think that goal was fairly allowed?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be different if Joe Linton had then shot and scored.
Yeah.
Because in the laws of the game and all that sort of thing. But I also question what the Spurs midfielder was doing, trying to play that ball around him.
You can question what the Spurs midfielder was doing. I know he was a pass that was overhit to him by Sarr.
We're going to disagree here.
We are going to disagree because I think if Joe Linton's arm's not there, they don't score that goal. It was, 1 pass later or 2 passes later?
2 passes, but they can still defend it.
I know they can still defend it, but although when you win the ball back in the final third, it was 1 pass through to Anthony, or 2 passes through to Anthony Gordon.
Right, because his arm was down by his side.
Yeah,
that's why I wouldn't give it.
I get that. I completely
maybe a little bit more controversial. If his arm was out wide, then I think it would have been given as a handball.
It would have been.
But VAR, for me, VAR wasn't in there for that. So I know VAR looked at it, but his arm's down by his side. It was ball to hand, and this is why I question the Spurs midfielder or defender or whatever he was. Because had he blocked it with his torso or his leg, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, would we? We'd be saying, "What's he doing?"
No.
So he's not made himself any bigger. His arm, what is he supposed to do?
I know what is he supposed to do, but then that's where the grey area around the handball law is for me, because I don't understand. My understanding was no matter when it happens, if an attacking player handballs it accidentally, deliberately, whatever, and then that leads directly to a goal, which it did, because the same point stands of if his arm's not there, they don't score that goal, it should be disallowed. That's the only reason why I'm saying I think it should be disallowed. But I completely take your point about it wasn't deliberate at all, because you compare it to the Dan Burn one later on. A couple of pundits saying that he was a bit lucky to stay on the pitch because that could have been a second yellow.
Yeah.
When his arms were deliberately out wide, he was deliberately making himself bigger to stop the ball going past him, which you could argue was another decision that could have gone Tottenham's way but didn't, in terms of a second yellow. It's not one that I really wanted to talk about though. No. The other one that I did want to talk about was the Kulusevski one on Anthony Gordon.
You mean that vicious assault?
Made Gordon bleed.
He did, yeah.
Did you think it was a pen?
Gordon? No.
It was one of those.
It was a collision.
Yeah.
It was a footballing incident. It was a collision. It's contact sport. These things happen. Gordon's trying to duck back the other side. Kulusevski's going to trying to get the ball. Did he hit the ball too hard, Gordon, or did Kulusevski get a touch on the ball?
Kulusevski got the very, very slightest touch on the ball.
Yeah. So
yeah,
and that's part and parcel of the game. He's going one way, someone's going the other. They've come together.
Yeah. So
if you want to stop that, put them in those big what do you call them?
Zorb balls.
Yeah, put them in those big Zorb balls now.
Yeah. No. So with that in mind, though, what did you make of the João Pedro and William Saliba one? A few hours later.
What do I make of it?
Yeah.
In disgrace. Absolute shambolic. That is the worst decision I've seen since...
Don't repeat what you WhatsApped me. Thank you very much.
No, I'm not. That is the worst decision I've seen since Southampton thought it'd be a good idea to get rid of Ralph Hasenhüttl.
Fair enough.
I'm sure there's more decisions that are worse than that. But and the Sky Sports app as well. Arsenal awarded unusual penalty. You mean a nonsense penalty?
Well, both Jamie Redknapp and Steve Sidwell, who were doing the punditry for the game back in the Sky studio, said it was a pen.
Yeah, of course, because Jamie Redknapp Spurs, and the pundits don't want to disagree.
It sums it up.
How often do you see pundits disagree?
But that's why it sums it up to me that when you go to Match of the Day studio and Danny Murphy...
I watched that to see what they said.
I know. Danny Murphy, he's usually, I wouldn't say anti-Arsenal, but is more inclined to give a negative opinion about Arsenal, said that it wasn't a penalty. I mean, my point of view
and
is...
Michael Richards.
And Gary
Lineker, because you had the Brighton boss going, oh, you just penalty, yeah?
Yeah. The same Brighton boss.
Is he Asian or is he German? It's not a good German accent, that's Dutch. When I saw that, I was like... I used to have a bit of time for Brighton. Now I'm looking forward to when you get sacked. Because if that was the other end, there's no way you'd want that given.
No.
And Gary Lineker was like, well, I'm sorry, I disagree with you there. And then we obviously went straight to Danny Murphy.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I saw that, because I think I Googled it or something, when I saw unusual penalty, like, other than Saliba getting the ball, it's just a clash of heads.
Yeah.
And I know I said this to you off podcast. Why didn't Raul Jimenez get a penalty then a few years ago when David Luiz fractured his skull?
Yeah.
When they was both going for the same ball from a corner.
Yeah.
When has this rule come in? But the biggest farce of it all is VAR. You've got professional referees in an office watching that and going, "No, Anthony, it's a good call.
It's not clear and obvious.
Good call, Anthony. Yeah, no, not obvious error." Was it bloody Mike? What's his name? Mike Dean?
I don't know who was on.
Was he there again going?
Of
I don't want to send my mate to the screen and tell him he's got it wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know how much they get paid a year? Basic. I think it's about 80 to 88 grand a year.
What, professional referee?
Yeah. And that's before their match fee, which is about £1,500 a game. So I've been told.
Didn't know that. Yeah.
You're young enough, get into refereeing.
You messaged me that a few years when we watched. I was watching the Argentina-Mexico game over the pub, the Qatar World Cup, and you messaged me. It's not too late to start, but yeah.
Well, it's interesting. You know, I think potentially on the last podcast you gave me a question from Ben Knipe.
Yes,
he's a referee.
Is he really?
He is, yeah. And I've been telling him to work his way up, and he's not sure. He's like, maybe I should stay where I am. I'm like, no, maybe you should be a referee.
Do you know what standard he referees at? Is it just?
He's at a decent standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's at a decent standard.
Fair play. Fair play. I just don't know if you could deal with all the abuse all the time though. It's
£1,500 a game and £8,000 a year, and that's before you even do European games.
Talking about the elite standard, because to get there you obviously have to go through.
Yeah, I know, but
levels. If
you've got a backbone about you, but book them, don't you?
Yeah, true.
And then you also go down the gym, look like that referee that no one would mess with.
Which one?
I don't know. They called him the hen. I wouldn't argue with him. They're saying, I don't know.
Fair enough. Or just have really scary eyes, like the old Italian.
Kalina. Yeah, Luigi Kalina.
Nobody gave him any crap, did they?
Or was that the Gary Neville one? They're not looking to sell.
Yeah, I mean that shouldn't distract though from the fact that it wasn't the best of performances again. From us.
And I don't know if you and I have had this conversation, but I've definitely had this conversation at work. After the Ipswich game where we won 1-0 and didn't kill the game off, I'm getting a little bit hacked off watching Arsenal. I'm not going to lie. Because that was like, they didn't get out of second gear. It was almost like a training game for them.
Yeah.
And all it takes is a bad pass, a dodgy decision, and your lead's gone. You need to kill games off.
Yeah.
Like being 1-0. I know, when did the penalty come? About 60th minute? Something like that?
61st, I think, yeah. Well, we had the chance right before that with Marino. The ball from Declan Rice.
I know, kill the game off. So, and they should be doing that. And yeah, so... As much as the decision is absolutely farcical, I mean, because they could have almost lost it as well at the end. Brighton had a decent chance to make it 2-1.
Pulled the ball across the box as well, yeah.
So, but the league is done. If Liverpool win both their games in hand, they're 11 points ahead. The league is done.
Too big a gap, yeah.
So he needs to concentrate on the Champions League, the League Cup, the FA Cup. Obviously, still do your best in the league, but yeah.
As long as you get top four now, because obviously you can't win the league.
Should be getting
top four is
they don't get
second
top
priority.
There,
yeah. Yeah, I echo it, but it's going to be interesting then to see how strong he goes against Newcastle in midweek in the Carabao Cup, because I want him to go strong. That's a trophy to win. If you're serious about winning that, this form that Newcastle in, Newcastle are going to start their strongest 11, and they are no mugs at all. You need to
Pope's injured, isn't he? Because Dubravka's still playing. Although he's given a good account of himself at the moment.
He made a couple of decent saves, especially in the second half yesterday, because Tottenham were obviously pushing for an equaliser. So
they won't be looking to sign Daniel Ward soon anyway, that's for certain. But yeah, that decision, absolutely fuming. Anyone who's played football, but it's what I mean. They're professional referees. They watch football. They do it week in, week out. How you can say... And it's not because it's Arsenal. I'd be saying that if it was one of the clubs I hated, like Man United and Chelsea, or Tottenham, or Man City,
anymore,
or Liverpool,
and now Brighton,
or Brighton. Yeah. No, I'm joking. I don't hate those clubs. Stoke, definitely Stoke. No, I'm joking. I don't really hate them, but I just don't see it. And that's where you want a bit of objectivity as well, don't you? Because there'll be fans on the other side who go, no, it was definitely the pen.
Well, a few polls and things floating about on social media. I think The Athletic ran one. I think 30% of people said that they thought it was a penalty. Same thing on BBC Sport. You had a lot of people, that text in live. A lot of people in the live text in were saying that they thought it was a penalty.
A lot of people don't know football then. Because on Sky, over 50% said it was a penalty. And it's like, over 50% of your viewers have no idea about football then, do they?
Yeah.
But probably it's because Jamie Redknapp's told him it's a penalty, and Steve Sidwell's agreed with Jamie Redknapp.
Jamie Redknapp, the man who brought you, look how many fingers he's holding up. He wants 3 men in that wall.
He needs to get his Skechers and...
Right, let me ask you a couple more on Arsenal before we move on to talk about other clubs, because we do have a lot to talk about with other clubs. There's just a few things that I wanted to get your opinion on.
Just
as
get the
an
anger
Arsenal
out.
Fan.
Get the anger out.
Yeah. Does it frustrate you sometimes how long we take set pieces? Because it seems as though we pick up so many pointless bookings, and Timber being a case in point, I think he got booked in the first half of a game recently for delaying taking a throw-in, which contributed to him being suspended yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's poor game management personally. But
I don't understand why we do it, because I always, last few podcasts, I keep comparing us to the 2022-23 season. That year, especially the first half of the season, even when we were 1-0, 2-0 up, there was like an urgency still to get the ball back in play, to go and kill teams off, to kill games off. Now it's we get a goal, we're leading, they slow everything down, and then it feels like that sometimes contributes to how we play on the pitch in terms of how slow we move the ball about. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But I don't
It's not
understand
entertaining at all, is it?
No,
Which is what you want to be. You want to be entertained.
Yeah.
First and foremost. So, yeah, it's frustrating. And then when they eventually get booked, and they're not going to get anything from these referees either. So, if play into their hands, if you want to play into their hands,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's not footballing intelligence, that's for certain.
No, but I don't understand. Is that coming from the coaching staff and Arteta, or is that what they're deciding on the pitch?
It's coming from the set piece coach.
Just get the ball back in play. Just play the game, as you said. I can understand maybe like the
Do
last
your job.
20 minutes. Yeah,
Do your job. That's your job.
Last 20 minutes maybe. If you're 1-0 up, you're under a bit of pressure. Then I completely understand. But first half of games, and you're getting pointless bookings. Come on.
I know, and then you're on eggshells a little bit for the rest of the match. Yeah, I know. It's just not intelligent at all.
No, and the reason why I mentioned Timber specifically is because he was suspended yesterday. We had to start Partey at right back. What do you make of the constant starting Partey at right back?
I don't mind him starting at right back, but he needs to do some heading practice because he missed one at the
Fulham.
Emirates.
Was
it Fulham?
When we were corner 1-1, the one that springs to mind is Fulham when he's about 6 yards out and he should have scored.
Yeah, and I think he missed one at the Emirates. I could be wrong. I can't remember when, but earlier on in the season, and that one, a free header. Yeah.
I mean, on Partey starting at right back, it just seems to upset our balance so much. I think Partey's had a good season, don't get me wrong, but when he's playing in midfield, and I know he's out of contract in the summer, so it's going to be a case of, do we renew, do we not?
Probably not.
Because of injuries previously, but he's not a right back.
We got a young lad, haven't we?
What, Miles Lewis-Skelly?
No, there's another one. When we went and saw the Bolton game, he started at right back when Lewis-Skelly started left.
Josh Nichols, but I could be wrong on that. He's diminutive.
Yeah, so why not give him a chance?
But I would rather see...
Because I think Lewis-Skelly's done really well when he's come in. He has done.
And I'm surprised that Calafiori has come in and pretty much taken his place back straight away, because I think Lewis-Skelly deserves to start. It could just be a bit of squad rotation.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to start a young right back from the academy, I would rather see a left back put right back rather than Thomas Partey play there. If it's only for a game or two.
Are we saying Calafiori can play across the whole defence, can we?
Well, Calafiori, just try it. It. I mean, Tomiyasu could play right back and left back.
Is he injured again, Tomiyasu?
Tomiyasu's been injured for the whole season. Tomiyasu's done some sort of knee injury.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because there was rumours that he was on his way out anyway.
Well, if you've got the amount of fullbacks that we've got, obviously Tierney is looking at...
He's on his way out.
Joining Celtic. Well, his contract's not been renewed either. So
did he come from Celtic originally?
He did come from Celtic.
Fair enough. But he's got on a bit like a professional, hasn't he?
Well, that's why Arsenal said that they're happy to let him leave this month if he wants to leave this month. Otherwise, it can be done in the summer because he has been a model professional.
Yeah, good.
Words of the club.
Shame it didn't work out for him, really, because I still think he's a good defender. But anyway, that's a lot about Arsenal. Should we move on?
Well, should we come to Manchester United then? Because it feels like they are amongst the biggest talking points at the moment with their recent form, especially since their win at City. I think they've lost...
Because they're in a relegation battle?
Well, that was my question to you. Are Manchester United in a relegation battle?
They're going to be, yeah, if they don't start picking up points soon.
Well, Ruben Amorim certainly thinks so.
I know. There was an Arsenal fan, lad at work, who was like, that's a sackable offence as far as I'm concerned. You can't be Man United manager and say you're in a relegation battle.
Well, it's interesting because then the other thing that I wanted to ask in terms
it's not that easy. It's your job.
He must be sitting at home with a glass of wine now, somewhere, old Eric Ten Hag.
This is football heritage.
Yeah. The question that I wanted to ask linked to that is, if United are in a relegation battle, does the club stick with Ruben Amorim regardless of how bad it could get?
I'd like to take you back a few podcasts ago when you asked me, who's the manager that's under the most pressure?
You said Ruben Amorim.
Clip it.
He's not under pressure for me, though, because there is an acceptance and an understanding from Manchester United fans that the club, specifically the players, need to change. Therefore, they're going to give the manager time.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's been so bad, though, isn't it? I mean, we knew that was bad under Ten Hag, and... I was always saying I don't understand what their end product is or what they're trying to achieve.
The style of players, yeah.
And now I don't know. I mean, I'm watching it now and going, how bad can it get for them?
Well, the Simpsons meme springs to mind. You know, the Simpsons movie, worst day of your life so far.
Yes, because that used to be done with Arsenal quite a fair bit.
Yeah,
it's like the one with. 4 when he goes back in time and sees his mum and she's like, the future's not been good to you, and it's 2000s Arsenal. That's what Man United have got coming, honestly.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. It's just a picture, but it's like the top is him with the Arsenal badge from the 2000s. Yeah. The future hasn't been kind to you. Yeah, that's what Man United, probably the 1999 and all those from there.
Oh, let it continue as far as I'm concerned with my bias hat on. It's nice
long may it continue.
Yeah.
May it continue. This is what happens when you make a deal with the devil. Okay? No pun intended.
What, for all those decisions that they got?
Just for the 50-50 game, because that came up on my feed again the other day. I mean, some of those fouls. The Ruud van Nistelrooy one on Ashley Cole, where he scrapes his stud down his shin. Yeah. In front of the lino. Nothing. Nothing. And Rooney dives over Campbell's leg. Yeah, he could. It was. That's where Michael Oliver. That's who Michael Oliver looks up to, isn't it? Oh my goodness! I mean,
did he come out and do an interview after that game? Was it Mike Riley refereeing?
I don't think so.
No, but that was the time in football that sometimes referees did come out and give the odd post-match interview.
Once or twice it happened, but they were told to stop. So, But yeah, somehow we managed to get back onto Arsenal from Man United because we're enjoying it. Yeah. And guess what, City fans? You've got all this to come in probably 5 to 10 years' time. Pep ain't going to be there forever.
Depending on what league they're in.
Yeah.
The only thing I wanted, it reminds me, you talking about harking back to the previous
Chelsea
podcast.
Fans, you've got it coming at all.
Harking back to the previous podcast in which I asked you who the manager most under pressure, and you said Ruben Amorim. In the same breath, you also said, what if they lose the next 10 games? They're not going to lose the next 10 games. They might do now. I think if they lose tonight, it's 5 in a row.
They beat City, so they haven't lost their next 10 games.
Well, the last 4 results, match week 17, 3-0 at home to Bournemouth they lost. Match week 18, where are they?
Who are you? Delia? Newcastle 2-0?
No, that was match week 19. Oh, to be fair, this will be their 4th loss in a row if they lose to Liverpool today at the moment. And then the time before the game before Newcastle, it was Wolves when Cunha scored directly from a corner,
Yeah.
which was a dross performance from United.
Yeah, but I don't know. It went down to 10 men. I don't like making an excuse, but Fernandes is on a yellow card. I've got to think about, again, it's footballing intelligence,
Of
isn't
course,
it?
I did forget about that. Yeah, indeed. I mean, talking of, because Liverpool and United are playing at the moment, there are a couple of things I wanted to touch on Liverpool, more off the pitch, because everything's going smoothly on the pitch, so we don't really need to cover them.
But off the pitch, it's
going
going to...
Oh, it feels like that to an extent in terms of what Trent's come out and said. Oh, sorry, he hasn't come out and said anything, but reporters have come out and said that Real Madrid feel confident about signing him. They've supposedly offered £20 million in this window.
I've seen that.
Yeah, in this window to try and buy him in January, but Liverpool holding on to him until the end of the season, regardless. But what would you do if you were him? Would you stay at Liverpool and therefore become a Liverpool legend, or would you move to Madrid?
I'd go if he wants to play at Madrid, doesn't he? He wants to play at Bellingham, hasn't he said so?
Well, he's very close friends with Bellingham. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's actually said that publicly, but
well, if you want to go elsewhere, then go elsewhere. It's not like he's going to another team in the league.
The only thing that he said publicly is that he wants to win a Ballon d'Or. But to me, that immediately smacks of, I want to join Real Madrid because of Real Madrid's track record of winning the Ballon d'Or, especially in the last 10, 15 years. Taking Messi out of it because it's slightly different. But Madrid seem to win a Champions League.
Spanish clubs are quite heavy with winning it, though, aren't they, in the last 10 to 15 years?
Yeah.
Go to Madrid then. But it's still not that great at defending. He's great at passing the ball. Maybe they move him there and they do something different with him and he's not a defender anymore. Who knows?
Try and put him into central midfield. But that experiment has been tried by Sir Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, but it was Sir Gareth Southgate that tried it. So maybe under Don Carlo it might work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just has to raise an eyebrow.
If he's still there next season.
Yeah.
That's always up in the air.
Like his eyebrow.
Are you surprised about the amount of noise about the situation, though, with his contract and also Salah? Because Salah's come out and said something publicly again that this would be his last season at Liverpool.
Yeah, he still said they're far away. I think from the screenshot, it looked like Liverpool TV or something. But I don't know how much is just trying to egg him on to give him more money. But
I know, but bearing in mind the position that they find themselves in, completely warranted, obviously, top of the league and top of the Champions League group, having won all of their games.
But to be honest, I don't know if he could get a better draw, but as long as he finished top 8, it doesn't really matter, I don't think, finishing top of the Champions League, personally.
No, I know, but it's reflective of they've had a really good start to the season, obviously semi-finals in the Carabao Cup. When you have so much noise publicly around the situations of 3 of your best players, obviously hasn't been as much noise with Van Dijk, but he's still yet to renew. It feels like that's the only thing that could potentially derail the season.
Yeah, well, that's down to them, and I hope it does derail their season. With my Arsenal hat on there, not my casual fans football hat on.
Yeah.
But if I was Real Madrid and Liverpool Liverpool would be stupid not to sell him.
What, in this window?
Yeah, because if he's telling them privately, I want to go there, I'm leaving, etc., etc. I'm not going to sign a new contract. The only way they'll get him on a new contract is if he has a release clause, because he'll be earning more money. But it'll be different to what Levy did with Kane, though, because Levy promised Kane next season he could go, and it was like, actually, you're under contract, mate.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure Alexander-Arnold will have a team around him where it'll be like, well, no, we want a release clause, and they'll be talking to Real Madrid. Now, if I was Real Madrid and I don't sign him in this window, then he can sign a pre-contract agreement. I'd offer him that. They're doing Liverpool a favour by offering him money. They could just come in and say to him, here's a pre-contract agreement, do you want to sign it?
Yeah.
All right, he won't be playing for the rest of the season, probably. Unless the manager's like, oh, okay. But
the manager, because of all the news that's come out in the last week about this, the manager was still steadfast saying that he's going to start today against Manchester United, and he has done.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how the fans react the more it develops as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd take the money, personally.
From the Liverpool's perspective,
I'll take the money or lose him on a free.
Yeah.
After that, after saying all that now, he'll probably just sign a contract, won't he, and be there for the next 4 years.
Well, I don't know if he's doing a Gerrard. It's made me think if he's doing a Gerrard previously. Obviously, Gerrard left his contract run down pretty much until the end of the season, didn't he? They then won the Champions League, and that's arguably what made him sign a new contract as opposed to going to Chelsea.
I don't think Alexander-Arnold has the same connection to the club that Gerrard has.
He's been there since he was like 6, though.
I know he's been there since young, but
and obviously he is from that area. He's a Scouser.
Yeah, I know, but still, I don't. But I don't see it on the pitch compared to Gerrard. I know they're different positions, but
I disagree with that a little bit. I think.
No, fair enough. Yeah. I'm just saying what I see.
No, it is interesting though, to
say what you see.
Oh, Brian. It is interesting what you say about selling him now, though, because I saw Paul Merson talking, saying the other day, £20 million is nothing. So you get that if you win the Premier League.
Oh, give that to me then, Paul. £20 million, nothing. I'll have £20 million. Thank you.
In the context of Premier League football at the top of the division, so you keep a player.
Well, 20 years ago, it was a lot of money.
Of course, but you keep a player.
It's a disgusting amount of money they actually pay for players.
Do you keep that quality of player for the remaining 6 months because it will help you win multiple trophies, or do you trust in those that you've already got at the club? Obviously, Conor Bradley's
he's done really well when he came in.
Yeah.
No, give it to him. If he wants to be there, and Trent's saying he doesn't want to be there, move on then. No one's bigger than the club.
Fair enough. Right, I think that rounds Liverpool off quite nicely. So let's come to Tottenham before we move on to a few other clubs. Do you think Tottenham should still stick with Postecoglou?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Because I don't know who else they'd get in.
I mentioned Thomas Frank recently, but okay, taking out other managers that they might get in, do you think the merits of the performances, not necessarily the results, mean that he should still be afforded more time?
Yeah, and he's got a lot of injury problems.
Yeah.
I mean, he's now down to his third choice goalkeeper.
They have just signed somebody from the Sparta Prague, goalkeeper.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either.
No, neither do I.
I wonder if he's going to start ahead of Foster.
Well, it's been...
If Foster comes back.
He was ill against Newcastle, hence why he didn't play. But the new signing they've just made has been brought in to challenge for the number 1 spot. So it makes it sound like he's going to be number 2 and he's going to challenge Vicario. That could just be Spurs
Vicario
saying that.
Yeah, it could be.
I doubt it, because... I mean, I've always thought that Vicario was a bit erratic, but... He did well at the start of last season when obviously Tottenham were on their run at the start of the season when they won the league in October.
Yeah.
But
we won the league in October.
Yeah. The only reason why I wanted... Because it does feel like we talk about Postecoglou a lot and Tottenham at the moment, but the only reason why I wanted to bring it up is because
because their results are so erratic.
The results are erratic, the performances are erratic, but everyone as a neutral, as we've also said on this podcast as fans of opposition clubs, always say Tottenham so exciting to watch, and they are exciting to watch, but they're exciting to watch because the only thing that you know is going to happen in their games is Leslie Chow. It's going to be madness.
Anarchy! Yeah. And normally they're going to lose as well. Which,
but that's again, that's why opposition fans, it's quite exciting they're an exciting team to watch. You knew that against Chelsea and Liverpool, if they played the usual style of you have a shot, we have a shot, Chelsea and Liverpool are both better than them, the results were only going to end up...
I would have been saying that about Chelsea 2-3 seasons ago.
No, I know, but obviously things change. So the debate, it reminds me a lot of Leeds under Bielsa towards the end of Bielsa's time in charge, where you have all of the neutrals and all of the fans of opposition clubs going, no, they're great to watch, they're great to watch. They're great to watch because they concede a stupid number of goals. For Tottenham fans and for Leeds fans at the time, it wasn't that exciting to watch. I mean, Bielsa's last 4 games in charge, when I was looking back through stats, they lost on aggregate 27-2. 27-2. And Tottenham, don't get me wrong, they
are so brave.
They aren't that bad. But that's part of the problem as well, because then we come to the point of, why can you not just adapt your style a little bit? When he gets so frustrated with pundits asking him repeated questions, are you going to change your style? Are you going to change your style? Nobody's asking him to rip up and start again from scratch. All they're saying is when you come up against the well-drilled side or when you come up against a team better than you, can you be a bit more pragmatic? Can you change and adapt to try and win football games in a different way? Because playing the same way isn't getting them enough results. That's what I wanted to say.
You're very passionate about Spurs, aren't you?
That's why I have the Tottenham shirt up there, because this was all going to be a video of me talking to camera, because I thought about it.
Yeah, he says he's an Arsenal fan. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. The injuries as well.
Yeah.
Is that not more reason to adapt?
Yeah, potentially. But I think they got away with the fact that Van der Ven was quick as well, because they've always been open to conceding goals, haven't they? Mm. And I just think they don't. I think they think they're better than what they are. Like, you had Harry Kane there, who was their world-class player. Son was another very good player.
You just called Harry Kane world class. What's going on?
I said he was their world class player. This is the grammar.
Okay.
Their world class player, not a world class player. Their world class player.
You say
So, and then Son's supposed to take that mantle, and I just don't. I mean, they got Timo Werner. I don't know what's happened with Son, whether he was unwell. I know he benched him and he came on. I know he missed the penalty in the game before. Werner's lost.
This is another interesting point, though. The fact
why did he start him against Newcastle?
But
what? Oh,
he took him off at half time, either against Chelsea, Liverpool, or it might have been a different game. And he specifically said he outed Timo Werner to say he wasn't of the standard that I wanted. But then to start him
in January.
Yeah, to start him against Newcastle when Son, I think, was fully fit. Son is out of contract in the summer. Regardless of that, Son is meant to be your club captain. But that makes me wonder...
He's out of contract in the summer?
He's out of contract in the summer, so he can sign a pre-contract agreement if he wants to. And that makes me think, if Postecoglou is going to stay, with Son not starting, that's quite a big message to send if you're not starting your club captain, bearing in mind all the other injuries they've got, bearing in mind his replacement, as you already alluded to, was Timo Werner, who Postecoglou has been so critical of. Surprising, isn't it?
They're just, like I say, they're just not as good as what they think they are. I don't know if I said it on podcast, but I was talking about their recruitment and everyone's like raving about their recruitment. And I said, well, they've got the players from... They're decent players, but they're not players that are going to push you on to the next level.
Yeah.
You've taken Solanke from Bournemouth, who had his best season under Iriola, and look at what Bournemouth are doing now. You've taken Maddison, who got relegated at Leicester because he couldn't be bothered to put a penalty away against Everton. And you've taken Brennan Johnson from a Nottingham Forest team that were close to relegation. And I'm not saying they're not decent players, because they are. And Johnson's had some good form this season, and Maddison's done well here and there. And Solanke's scored a good goal against Newcastle, but doesn't score as much as he should, and when it's needed. But how are those players supposed to push that club on?
Yeah.
So I do think they've had a few seasons of where they've been really good, or from the time when Leicester won the league in 2016,
yeah,
where they were challenging and they were getting consistent European football in terms of Champions League for a few seasons, and now it's dropped off, and they still think they're that team or they're that club, and they're not.
But then your point about transfer business is pertinent to that time period as well, because they were getting closer to winning the league. When I think it was Conte won the league with Chelsea the season after Leicester won the league, and Tottenham finished second, Pep Guardiola's first season in charge, because it's the only time a club has finished above a Pep Guardiola side and not won the league. I think Tottenham got about 80 odd points. They needed one or two signings because it was a team of Alderweireld and Vertonghen at the back who were starting to age a little bit. Anyway, they needed one or two signings just to push them on. They didn't do it. They didn't go and sign anybody that would improve them.
And unfortunately, that's Daniel Levy.
And they've been declining
because he runs it like a
business.
business. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I mean. The fans think they're probably better than what they are. A bit like, I'm sorry to take it back to Arsenal, but Arsenal all those years where the fans still thought they were like the Invincibles, and it's like these boys can't lace their boots.
Yeah.
So you have to be honest with yourself and know what you're watching and what you're paying to see.
Yeah.
And they're not as good as what they think they are.
No. Well, it makes me think then as well, after the Liverpool game, I think we were just messaging.
Absolutely slated for that.
No, I don't think you're wrong.
On social media,
but it's just
absolutely slated.
It's realistic and it's realism, though.
Yeah.
But then for those that disagree with that, they might disagree, but they might understand your point. But for those that completely outright disagree and say you're completely wrong, then it would be the Nigel Pearson. You got your head in the sand.
If you disagree with me, you sirs are ostriches. Oh, one of the greatest interviews of all time. Where did that come from? I don't know where it came from with you.
Because it made me think of it. I have the odd moment where I have a...
Oh, yeah, that was... What an interview
moment.
that was. Yeah. That was brilliant.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't that long after Leicester played Crystal Palace, and James McCarthy, the Scottish midfielder, he slipped off the pitch anyway by the dugout, and Nigel Pearson's holding him by his neck on the floor, like, you what, son?
Quality.
Yeah. The last one on Tottenham, because we were talking about it, I think, after the Liverpool game. Oh, no, maybe it was the Wolves game where you said if they lose this, Ange is done.
And they drew 2-2, didn't they?
They did draw 2-2. But in terms of how they're playing at the moment, they're in a semi-final of a competition. Do you have any Well, do you think they'll be able to beat Liverpool across 2 legs to get into the final? How do you rate the chances of actually winning it?
Not good.
Yeah, it's true though, isn't it? It's based on everything that we've just said. Because if he still continues to persist and play the same style, you have a shot, we have a shot, it will be exactly the same thing, even if Liverpool play a weaker side.
If they continue losing games, he's not going to have the fans on side, and they'll be calling for his head.
Well, it's their worst.
I don't think Thomas Frank. I know you said Thomas Frank's one of the targets. I don't see how he pushes them on, and I don't see why he'd go there. The premise of all bigger stadium, bigger club, and bigger finances, but as we've seen from their transfer activity, Conte left because he wasn't going to get the transfers he wanted to build the team he wanted.
Yeah,
that's why he said what he said after the Southampton game.
Yeah, which basically got him the sack, didn't it? But Conte that's very Conte-esque. Of if he has issues, he's going to out them.
Maybe they should get in Gattuso. That's probably better than Nigel Pearson's one, isn't it?
What Gattuso? Is it with Joe Jordan? Is he? Who are you talking about?
Sometimes maybe good.
Oh, that one. Yeah. They can't get into Gattuso just because he squared up to Joe Jordan back when Tottenham were in the Champions League. Remember the days of Peter Crouch and I think Jermaine Defoe was there at the time. Yeah. It's like one lad you don't want to be messing with is Joe Jordan. What do you think he's going to do? Back down against you? Come off it. Jesus. All right, let's talk about a few other clubs and a range of other talking points. So, starting with Aston Villa, you said that you wanted to ask about John Duran's.
Yeah, well, until his silly red card, which was silly, I don't get him.
But did you think it was a red?
Yeah, it was definitely.
Even though it was accidental?
He tried to step on his back.
Yeah, but so again, when they showed it on Match of the Day, he rolled his ankle on the foot that was planted on the floor, which means had to get out quickly out of that. He had to put his other foot down. Unfortunately, that was on the centre half's back.
I don't know, because there's one where he's done his leg and then he's done his back straight away. I thought it was deliberate.
Fair enough. Disagree, but yeah, that's fine anyway.
Okay,
So,
I've only seen the behind angle. I haven't seen that other angle that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But he'd been starting ahead of Watkins, hadn't he, for a few games now. So I'm wondering if Watkins has been dropped, or because I know his form hasn't been as good as last season.
No.
But I was just asking. I just wanted to see what you think, because you're a little bit more up to date with all your info.
Well, it definitely felt like Watkins had been dropped, because the debate previously to that was, can you start both of them together? Because they were both in decent form. I completely agree that Watkins hadn't been as good last season, but Duran, every time he'd come off the bench, he was scoring goals. And obviously, if you're scoring goals, the fans, rightfully so, and Duran, rightfully so, are going to think, I should be starting. Hence why Emery swapped him. The interesting point to me now is, based on that red card, whether you thought it was deliberate or not, I was more put off by his actions after that. I know he was frustrated, but while you're waiting for the VAR decision, once it's confirmed, to then kick the water bottle the way he did on the sideline, Emery didn't react at all. I don't think Emery even looked him in the eye. Will that mean that Duran gets back into the team straight away ahead of Watkins when he comes back? That I'm less inclined to say so. So I think Watkins will now have another run of games to take his place and to make that number 9 spot his own again.
Does he get, is it a 3-match ban?
3-match ban, yeah.
So he missed this weekend, he'll miss the cup game next weekend.
Yeah.
And then one more.
Yeah.
Okay. Be interesting. I guess it all depends if Watkins scoring, because he smashed one over the bar, didn't he, from the 6-yard box? So.
Yeah. Although I'm pretty sure he'd already missed one, Duran, because he missed Brighton. They played Newcastle, then they played Brighton at home, which they drew 2-2. So he would have missed that.
Oh, okay.
They've missed this weekend, so then he'll miss the FA Cup game.
So he'll be back after the FA Cup weekend.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, it'll be interesting to see, won't it? Time will tell.
It will be interesting to see. Yeah, time will indeed tell. Bournemouth, you said you watched Match of the Day yesterday. David Brooks scored a lovely goal. How good is it to see him back playing and scoring for Bournemouth, bearing in mind, obviously, his cancer diagnosis a few years ago?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. It was a lovely finish as well.
Lovely finish, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, to get it on the volley, but just guide it in. Yeah, decent.
It was going to take a lot to beat Pickford, the form that he was in, but he had no chance with that. It's a lovely ball in as well. On the half volley from
Kirkes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who's been linked with Man United, which is a downgrade at the moment.
Don't go there. Well, Bournemouth are unbeaten in 8. Yeah. So European charge incoming?
Absolutely. Yeah, if they can keep it up.
Sustain the form. Yeah. Kirkes, to me, has been, along with Anthony Robertson, the best left back in the league this season. So,
changing our tune now.
What did I say previously?
Well, because you're harping on about Anthony Robinson.
No, I'm saying along with Anthony Robertson. I think Robertson's been better, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking,
He
at
scored a good
different
goal
names-
at Wolves, didn't he, Kirkes? If you remember
Yes,
it.
he did. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was nominated for goal of the month. Because also
Yeah.
it was a slick move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smashed it. But yeah.
Indeed. And on West Ham, Jared Bowen, I don't know if you've seen, has fractured his foot.
Yeah, he's out for a few weeks, isn't he?
It's just a few weeks, or will it be longer with a fractured
Probably
foot?
longer.
Yeah. Well, how big of a miss will he be for West Ham?
Very big miss.
Yeah.
Yeah. But West Ham are a little bit like Tottenham, aren't they? Like, they're just mad as well, but not as entertaining.
Not in a good way, I don't think. If you
No,
say they call them mad.
yeah, just I don't know.
I still don't know what West Ham are.
A nightmare, really, because they just can't defend, can they?
Yeah, but arguably their performance against City yesterday was one of their better performances in recent weeks, because the first half especially, they had a few
Yeah,
chances.
but they don't take those chances, and they concede too many goals. And they got Areola back in goal because Fabianski's still concussed.
Yeah.
But I think it was the Liverpool game, a couple of the goals. I mean, the commentator was like, "Oh, Areola's done really well," and it's like he got beaten at his near post.
He
by one of
made
them.
one or two really good saves, but then it was the Salah, I think first one, I can't remember if Salah scored a couple, but I know which one you're talking about. The near post one,
Yeah.
all the time. He seems to get a wrist on it, and it's a case of cat flap wrist because it goes through him. There's been a few cases of that this season. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it feels like that's just gonna, to me, I don't mean to sound harsh when I say this, but it's just a matter of time for Julian Lopetegui. It's, the performances aren't improving, the results aren't improving, the fans, it seems, don't want him there. It was also interesting that David Moyes was watching the game yesterday. Not that he's linked with West Ham in any way.
I know.
At all,
I was
but-
going to say, did you see that he was watching it?
Yeah.
Apparently, he's a great lad to have around. So Man City are going to have him as a consultant or something.
I thought he was just watching it to say, yeah. What is it Karen Brady?
Yeah, Karen Brady.
Yeah. Chuck another couple of zeros on that contract and I'll be back. Moyes is back.
Moyes is back. Are we friends? That's what she's going to do, innit? Call him and say, Moisey.
Yeah.
It's like, we ain't friends, Karen.
I'm not your buddy, guy.
I'm not your manager, friend.
Everton, 1 win in 11. Do you think that they are the side currently outside of the relegation zone that are most in trouble at the moment?
No.
Why is that?
Man United are that side.
Well, United drew 2-2 today.
Nice little Desmond. That's a couple of points dropped. Well done, Man U.
Yeah.
That's maybe a little bit happier. But no, on a genuine basis, yeah, Everton are. I know I said last time on the podcast Ipswich are done. I might have to flip-flop a little bit because Ipswich can at least score goals, but it's them conceding. Everton, the reason I said I think they'll be all right is because they don't concede many and they do make it hard. But the amount of chances they're conceding...
It's the chances they're conceding, but they, I think, as you just said, they do not score goals. It's like they're playing for a 0-0 every single game.
Yeah, Broha came off injured. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because I saw DCL came on the 36th minute.
Yeah.
And but I missed that it was him taken off, but I assumed it was him. And I was like, oh, that's probably an injury.
Because he's been really unlucky with injuries, but it comes a point again where if you continue to get injuries...
His problem was he did his ACL, didn't he?
Yeah.
Coming back from that's difficult because then you pick up all these silly little injuries.
Niggles and things.
Because you haven't been using your muscles. So,
But because I said at the start of the season, I'm basing it on the games that I'd watched. When Everton, they might not have been picking up the most results, but they looked fairly decent. Like they were scoring more goals. I felt like there was a decent team there. The last however many games especially, they've looked okay defensively, of course. They've picked up decent points against Chelsea, against Arsenal, against City. But then it's the games, I know Forest are playing really well at the moment.
Did you see the equaliser against City as well?
Oh, peach.
That's a
goal.
tickaboo, I think.
Because he took it so quickly, didn't he? It was one touch and
the touch.
bosh.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely from, in Jai.
Yeah. Before that, Bernardo Silva should have made it 2-0, trying to hit the outside of his boot.
Yeah, he takes it on his right.
Oh, well.
Different story. Yeah, but on Everton, because of the performances over the last few games, been for quite a few weeks now, I revised what I said at the start of the season that I thought they'd be completely safe. They, to me, I think Wolves have got enough quality, Palace have got enough quality, hence why they're picking up points now as well. I know Wolves are still down there, but they will start picking up points.
They played this weekend, Wolves.
No, they play on Monday night against Nottingham Forest, which is a tough game, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
that will be a tough one.
They drew at Forest earlier on in the season, so you never know. And when you've got Cunha, who has been as good as he's been so far this season...
He's suspended, though.
Of course, he's suspended for a couple of games. Yes, I did forget about that. Anyway, Everton are the team that I worry about, especially with Ipswich now picking up points. And it's interesting what you say about Ipswich, because one of the clips that I put out the other day in terms of has football become too system focused? You talked about Ipswich playing out from the back, feeling like they always need to do it. They've dropped, or McKenna's dropped Muric. I had a comment on that YouTube video saying that how can you lump Ipswich in with that, because they're against Chelsea, they're a lot more direct. Obviously, we were talking from the vast majority of the season in which they have tried to play out from the back. But if they've gone a little bit more direct against Chelsea, haven't watched their game today yet, so I don't know exactly how they played. But if they're playing a bit more direct against Fulham, hence why they picked up another couple of points, maybe they've learnt their lesson a little bit of when is the right time to play. They become more pragmatic. They realise that they can't always play out from the back against teams that are better than them. They will pick up more points. And that gives me hope that they will stay up, because I would quite like to see a side that came up from last season survive this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
God, the language you used, it's so difficult. Pragmatic. Boric. I don't know, where do you get these? What did they do? Boric, yeah. Hang on, there's something, because talking about playing out from the back, it was Leicester, I think, for one of the goals. Yeah, let's make it 2-1 against Villa. They got caught.
James Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that was only like in the 60th minute or so, but it's costing all.
It was the second goal. It was in 77th minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So talking about playing out from the back, but yeah, I mean, not that I'm biased or anything, but it would be nice to see one of the clubs that was promoted stay up, because also at the moment we've got now this sort of, it's almost like this revolving door, isn't it? Like the clubs that go down, they're the ones that almost come back up. I mean, Southampton and Leicester, although I still maintain Leicester should never have got relegated when they did, but c'est la vie. And now, who got at the top at the moment? Leeds, Burnley, Sheffield United are up there.
Yeah, which is why I was going to ask you at the end who you want to come up, because it feels like, not that you have anything against those clubs, but, you know, if they come up straight away, they're going to go back down straight away.
Right.
Exactly like we've got with Southampton at the moment. Because the question I want to ask on Southampton...
5.
They just imploded. They imploded.
Oh, just...
Yeah. And that's why I want to ask, do you think Southampton will beat Derby's record for the lowest points total? 11 points they have to go under. They've got 6 at the moment, still got 18 games left. But I think Derby had a very similar total at this stage of that season.
Records are there to be broken. So, yeah, I think they're going to break that record.
Because it feels like, where are they going to pick up another win from?
Not even that. Where are they going to pick up a draw from?
Yeah, because obviously the new manager came in.
This is a Brentford team that have done really poor away from home. Away from home. Yeah. Sorry,
and they could have been done by 7 or 8 with the chances that Brentford had first half. Well, I mean, what must Ramsdale be thinking?
That bench ain't looking too bad now, is it?
Yeah, and
still, Arteta is a genius, because he'll get him at a cut price, because we need a decent backup goalkeeper, so he'll come back.
Yeah, well, there must be some sort of clause in his contract at Southampton for him to move on, because I imagine they won't be able to pay his wages in the Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's abysmal yesterday to be done 5-0 at home against Brentford. It's just,
I know,
not to discredit Brentford,
but
as you said.
I know. Oh, did you see the chance Wissa missed?
Yeah, at 1-0 when Sharda flicked it on. Yeah,
Sharda's class.
Yeah.
I think he's underrated.
Yeah, well,
I'll tell you who else is underrated. Different team, Murphy for Newcastle.
Yes,
he hardly gets subbed. I think he gets quite a few assists for Isak as well, doesn't he?
He's in a very good purple patch that has gone under the radar because of how good Isak's been.
Yeah.
Yeah. His assist for Isak against Ipswich, you know, the back heel across the box.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yep.
He's come on a lot, because I didn't used to rate him, because he was there, I think, when Steve Bruce was still there, and end product was lacking. But yeah, last few weeks especially. And it also then makes me wonder what's happened to Almiron. Is he injured? Is he...
I think he was on the bench. Just not performing.
Fair enough.
Jacob Murphy is.
Yeah. Last club I want to talk about before we come to a few predictions for the second half of the season is Wolves. Now, we talked about in the last episode, Gary O'Neill had just been sacked. The one question that I didn't ask you, but I wanted to at the time, just forgot. Do you think Gary O'Neill deserves another Premier League job?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah. Well, when you've got managers Gerrard, Lampard, Rooney, who have big names, I know they're not all in the Premier League at the moment. Rooney's just been sacked, but getting jobs that arguably they shouldn't even be getting in the Championship or things like that. Gary O'Neill did a great job for 2 seasons. I know it went wrong this season, but I do think he deserves another crack should it come along at a Premier League club.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, it should be a top half Championship side that hopefully he can sort of go back into the Premier League. Because I do think, as I just said, I think we both gave him like our Manager of the Season awards for a couple of seasons.
Last season, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about the season before, but...
That was under Bournemouth when he came in.
Was it him last season?
It was him and Emery, I think, last season. And then before that, I know I've had him top 2 for the last couple of years because before last season, coming in to replace Lopetegui at Wolves with 2 days before the season started, he replaced Scott Parker at Bournemouth after they'd just been done 9-0 at Liverpool. Scott Parker talking about, we need to make a lot of signings, but the club doesn't have the finances. Therefore don't have the squad to compete. Gary O'Neill guiding them to safety quite comfortably.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's done enough to get another Premier League job, but just don't take the Southampton one when they sack this manager.
What was interesting, even on the Match of the Day commentary, the commentator said that, they might have been done quite a lot under Russell Martin, but at least they had an identity.
He didn't even see... I heard that. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
And that's 3 or 4 games in.
I know. Only his 3rd game, I think.
At one point, they looked like they was going to shut up shop a little bit. I'm not talking about yesterday, but from the previous games, may be a bit harder to play against. But who knows?
Yeah, and that's why to agree with you again, if any team's going to beat that record of Derby, it feels like it'll be Southampton. It'll be this season, because where are they going to pick up more points from? Right, let's come to updating a few of our predictions and a quick bit of Championship talk before we wrap up. So being the midpoint of the season, give or take, about 20 games in, I wanted to go through some of our predictions from the start of the season for the main positions and just see if you had any change. So at the start of the season, we both said that Arsenal we thought would win the league. Would you stick with them or would you go Liverpool?
I'm going to go Man City. They're going to go on a massive. They're going to go on a massive run. They're going to win their next 18 games. Liverpool and Arsenal are going to keep dropping points, and City are going to win it.
Could you imagine?
I can imagine. Yeah,
I'm going to go Nottingham Forest. No, I'm joking. I will go Liverpool. It's just the gap's too big now these days. Top 4. You went Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Newcastle. I went Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Newcastle. Any change to that? Would you put Forest in the top 4?
No, I don't think Forest will finish top 4. I think they will drop off. They've done really well, but I don't know. I'm going to stick with my top 4 because I think Newcastle have been quietly going about business recently. Yeah, when we both went the same top 4 but different order, I'd probably move. Well, I would move the order about because I'd had Liverpool first, but Newcastle, the form that they're in at the moment, since they put Sandro Tonali at holding midfield, and the form Isaac's in,
and the form, of course, I would. I think. Or hence why they went to Forest earlier on in the season, played in Water Park, beat them 3-1 at the City ground. So I do think Forest are going to drop off, but I think they will finish in the European places
if they pick up the away points like they do. I know we've just had a 15 minutes absolutely slating Spurs, but to go to Spurs and win,
of course,
it's a big result.
It's still difficult, and to hold on the way that they're holding on to see the game out, because Tottenham were fairly decent second half. 5th and 6th, you went with United and Aston Villa. I went with United and Tottenham. Would you stick with that?
I'm going to go Forest and Chelsea. Not in that order, but just in there or thereabouts, somewhere around there. Yeah,
I forgot about Chelsea. But I think so. Yeah, no, I'd still stick with the same top 4.
Because Chelsea are having
a blip at the moment.
A dip, aren't they? Which we said would happen.
Yeah. And the manager said it would happen as well in a roundabout way by saying they weren't in the title race.
Oh, Guy Mowbray as well. I was watching Football Focus on the red button because I was talking to him. I don't know why. And he was going, some of these players look tired. You've got to remember that, sometimes the key players are playing 90 minutes every week.
Is he saying about that? Saying that about Chelsea?
Yeah, saying about Chelsea.
Chelsea, who can rotate, have got that many players that they can rotate for the European.
Oh yeah,
fixture. They've basically got 2 squads.
So it was. I don't know who he was talking about. I'm sure he was talking about Cole Palmer. Must have been one of them. And I'm sitting there listening to it, going, they're tired. I know it drains you and it's draining and that sort of thing, but they're professional athletes. This is why they're paid 200, 300 grand a week.
Yeah.
Well, and you got a commentator going, oh yeah, they look a bit tired, but they've got to do 90 minutes every week. If they're that tired, cancel one of your training sessions then.
But I can understand, more so, I completely take your point, but I can understand talking about a different club in that context, a club that doesn't have the finances of Chelsea, that they can't rotate as many players because Chelsea have that many players.
The thing is, they can't rotate in the Premier League because the other players aren't good enough. That's why. That's what it boils down to. But yeah, load of tosh. Well then, cancel one of your training sessions and just let them go in the jacuzzi then.
Yeah.
Pathetic, honestly. Some of this stuff, I like football, but get
Yeah.
Have a smell of
Bit
yourself.
of realism.
Yeah,
Bit
come
of
on.
realism. Yeah. Europa Conference League, which is 7th. You initially had Tottenham. I had Aston Villa. Would you any change there?
I'll go with you and go with Villa.
Yeah, I think I'd stick with Villa because it's the one club we haven't mentioned at the moment. It'd be very interesting to see how they get on in the Champions League. I don't know who's still got the group phase to finish, but they could
should
still
be there.
finish top 8. Yeah. So
Wouldn't it be great if Villa won the Champions League?
be back to the 80s, wouldn't it? I think they won it 84, 82.
I don't know.
Early 80s. Forest won it 79, 80.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, if you want a really good podcast to listen to, rival podcast, Martin O'Neill on the Stick to Football podcast, absolutely brilliant. He was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched their Christmas episode the other day with the Christmas quiz. What a bunch of prima donnas, all of them.
It wasn't. Yeah, usually the quiz is pretty good, but
I couldn't hear anything because I was arguing over each other all the time.
Yeah. That's why.
Time.
Yeah.
Roy Keane did make me laugh though, when it's like, come on, I've got to see my family at Christmas. And then when it came to him, Michael McIntyre was like, Roy, you got to see your family. Come on, get the thing. I can see him next Christmas.
Yeah, but if you're that sort of comedy and humour, again, Martin O'Neill, just
okay, I'll watch it on YouTube then at some point.
different gear, and let me know when you have, because it was genuinely probably one of the best that they've done. And finally, relegation. At the start of the season, you said Everton, Nottingham Forest, and Ipswich. I had Nottingham Forest, Ipswich, and Southampton. So we both had Forest to go down.
Yeah,
sorry, Forest fans.
Yeah, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at not having Southampton there.
Yeah.
They might be all right, Southampton. You sure you want me doing this podcast with you after this?
You never know. So what would you change of your bottom three?
Well, Southampton will be going down, rock bottom. And I'm going to go with Everton to be relegated. And Forest are at 34 points now, aren't they?
37, I think.
37. Oh, Forest are safe then, so I can't really go with them, even if they lost every game for the rest of the season. And I think, sadly for them, I think it's going to be Leicester.
Based on the last few weeks, which is why I'm going to copy you as well. That's the way it's going.
It depends how long their main goalkeeper's out. I know they've dropped Danny Ward now and put in the third choice. He doesn't seem to be doing too badly, but they are shipping quite a few goals, Leicester.
Still, yeah.
And struggling to get it in the back of the net more than one. So, albeit they did have a Desmond with Brighton, but
but again,
Brighton
helped
them out a lot.
Yeah, and the game before that against West Ham, that West Ham had that many chances that I know Leicester won 3-1. It's on a different day, it could have been a very different scoreline. Yeah. So, but it would be quite nice, as we said. Ipswich are playing well, which is why we've both just kept them out of the relegation zone. But you're sort of hoping that they stay up as well. I'm not necessarily fussed if it's them or Leicester. I just want a club out of that come up last season to stay up again. Because otherwise it'll be 2 years on the trot, and you get the same questions of the gap between the Premier League and Championship getting bigger, which obviously by that evidence it will be. So talking of the Championship, who do you want to come up from the second division? I've included the table there. But we mentioned earlier about the same clubs that go down and seem to come up. It's more a personal preference, this question. Who out of those clubs would you like to see come up?
I would like to see Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday, and I don't really care about anyone else. Watford.
Oh, no, screw Watford. They sack their manager every bloody week. I want to see Sunderland, definitely, because that hark back to early Barclays, or 2000s especially. Blackburn for the same reason, because they were initial... Wait, are you frowning? Blackburn.
Do you see the thing from one of the former players? They're going to go and play Man United at Old Trafford, and Sam Allardyce was showing them clips from 300 and Gladiator to try and G him up. No. And that was 3-0 down within the first 20 minutes. They lost 7-1.
Oh, that was the day that Berbatov got 5 goals.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
I can't remember which player it was, but yeah.
Pathetic. Yeah. And the other club that I am going to include in my 3 is Leeds. And I say that because I think Leeds will be the only club out of the potential ones to come up that will have a chance at staying up.
Who's in charge of Leeds?
Daniel Farker. Yeah, but
what happened at Norwich?
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me twice. It wouldn't surprise me if thumbnail central is what this is.
Every time I see that gif though, he's going he's lost it. He actually lost it.
He's definitely got a screw loose up there, doesn't he, with some of what he says.
Oh my god, right. Just like, mate, it's just a game of football. Right.
Yeah. But it wouldn't surprise me if Leeds got promoted and then they swapped Daniel Farker out for a different manager to start next season.
We'll go back with Sam Allardyce.
He'll never get another job again. He's retired. And talking of Championship football, are you surprised that Wayne Rooney lost his job?
No, the results haven't been great. But I've been reading that he left by mutual consent and he said he doesn't need the payment. And that means that they can reinvest into the squad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently so.
Well, it sounds like a lot of the fans had accepted that he needed to be moved on because ultimately the results weren't good enough. But the goodwill towards him because of how he was around the club in terms of always having time for people, and that sort of follows on. So in that sense, obviously it's good that he's done that. But yeah, the results ultimately at the end of the day, I mean, it should be caveated with Plymouth aren't the biggest of clubs. Last season they struggled to stay up, but ultimately they did stay up. This season it's going to be more of a struggle because of the position that they're currently in.
He's been sacked at Birmingham and they got relegated. I mean, I don't know why they brought him in, but anyway. Derby, he was unlucky because they had some decent form, but they got relegated.
And the finances of the club. He did a good job at Derby.
Yeah, he did do a good job at Derby.
Finances were all over the place.
But everyone, and I've started seeing it going, Derby relegated, Birmingham relegated, Plymouth relegated, like it's done. And then from Derby, he went to DC United, didn't he? Yeah. Where he'd played. And I personally don't understand that one, unless he wanted to make a life in America.
No, I think it's because in his playing career, he'd gone to DC United. He then came to Derby as player manager, ultimately became the manager, then went back to DC United just to manage, okay. I'm pretty sure. But he didn't do the best out there over there. I think it was just trying to get a bit more experience. The Birmingham one is the worst one, though. When you could take over a club, I know it was only October, but they were in the playoff positions at the time, and you ultimately end up getting them relegated. I know he got sacked before the end of the season, but that's poor, that.
Yeah, but that's poor management by the board.
I know.
So,
yeah.
I don't see it really working out for him as a manager, really, but...
Depends where he wants to go now, if he wants to carry on, because he's ultimately...
I don't think he'll get another championship job now, though.
He'll have to drop down a level again. If he's got that fire in him to continue doing that, then obviously he will do, to take the Plymouth job in the first place.
He doesn't have to be a manager, he can be a coach if he wants to be a coach, though, can't he?
Yeah. Or otherwise he can just he's tried the manager route, then maybe just stick to the punditry side of things.
Yeah, or just be a coach. He can probably coach at a Premier League club.
Yeah.
Because he's not the one that has to ultimately do the tactics and all that sort of thing. I mean, he's finishing... When you're coaching, like especially that level, you're just passing on some of your knowledge, surely.
Yeah.
You know? So, I don't know.
Fair enough. That rounds it off nicely. Only thing for me left to cover is the table of results. So, been a few match weeks since we last recorded. Match week 17, I got 7, you got 4, James got 7. Match week 18, I got 6, you got 4, so nice and consistent.
Consistency!
James got 8. Match week 19, I got 9, you got 8. James got 5, so that leaves the overall scores, taking out match week 20 because there's still a game left to play at the time of recording. I have 120, you have 107, and James has 115.
Yeah, I mean, I'm bottom of the league. Shock.
Still fairly close, though.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm not like 20, 30 points behind, so...
Which I think it has been in previous seasons, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's got... As it gets closer, it gets to 20, 22, and I'm like, I've still got a few game weeks, I've still got a few there. Yeah. So, I think the difference is, though, this season, is I think whoever gets their predictions in first on the WhatsApp group, because then the other ones, you see it, don't you? And you're like, and I don't know if you look at it and go, they've gone that one. Sometimes. I was going to go that, but now I'm going to do this. And so, for example, you got a correct score of Palace, you went 1-1. And I saw that, and I was going to go for a draw, but now I don't want to copy your score, so I'm going to go for a 2-2. Because I do think it will be a draw. I don't think Chelsea will win. I don't think Palace will win. But there you go.
Well, that's why the last couple of game weeks, I've been putting them in as soon as I sent all the fixtures. Because I haven't been first for a little while, but I wanted to put mine in first. Not that I'm particularly bothered about copying other people's predictions. I know both you and James, James said that I copied his predictions from a few weeks ago, so I don't really care.
Yeah, but I've got a good tactic. Once I surpass James, because I'm going to surpass James, I'm just going to copy all your scores.
No, the point is you then copy James's scores, isn't it? Because then
no, because normally you've got the beating of James at the moment. So
he did narrow the gap though. It's just the last couple of weeks that it's gone back out.
So it's only 5 for him, isn't it? And then it's 13 in total to me. So I'm 8 behind James. So
and you, I think, have done better than him so far
this week. Yeah.
And you've both gone for the same score tomorrow, I believe. You both went Forest to win, I think, and I went a draw. So, yeah, we'll see.
Interesting
Times indeed. But I think that wraps it up quite nicely from my side. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
Nah.
No?
No, I don't think so.
Lovely. Then I guess the last thing to say, I'm not coming to the camera to say this, is to, if you enjoyed, like, comment and subscribe. More than welcome to. Especially comment with your opinion, because I always engage. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me on the first podcast in 2025. Here's to another good year.
2025. Jeez. See you on the next one.
Indeed we will.
I wonder what will be your thumbnail.
You shall find out, won't you?